Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvin. All right, today I want to dive into three key mindset shifts that allowed my business to go from 6 to 7 figures. And I think without these mindset shifts, everything would have stayed in that near 6 figure, going up, going down. And I'm talking about this more and more because I see a lot of coaches and course creators and service providers that you are making money. Like you've gone from that beginner stage where you're just wanting to get your first 1 or 2 sales, and you've got income, but maybe you're hitting that, what I call that glass ceiling above 6 figures, where it's consistent, reliable, and then there's a clear path to get to 7. So these three shifts allowed me to shatter that 6 figure ceiling and move to 7 figures very fast. So there is a Forbes article that talked about research of the amount of effort it takes to get to 6 figures versus getting to 7 figures. And what they talked about was that 80% of the effort that you will ever take to get to 7 figures happens to get you to 6 figures consistently. And then it's really only a 20% effort to move to 6 to 7 figures. So that's really good news. But here's the other thing that Forbes article talked about was it has nothing to do with what created the 6 figures to begin with. In other words, it's not strategies, it's not tactic, it's not something else. It is all about up-leveling the mindset, the capacity of the leader to be able to lead themselves and then their business past 6 figures. And so I wanted to talk about this because it isn't spoken about very consistently on what shifts do you need to make. I call them mindset shifts because there's a way and a pattern of thinking that I had pre 6 figures that was literally a neural network that was running the show 90% of the time. And it took some very focused effort to change the pattern of hustle, work hard, grind. It's more work equals more success, to these three. I sat down and I was really thinking through and praying about, like, what were the three? Because if I can shortcut this for you, if I can get you to start to think about these three things and then take the action of being in a container where you can create these mindset shifts faster, then you'll get there faster. Because it really all boils down to the leader that is leading their business to 6 figures and beyond. Their mind has to get there before their business will. Okay, so what's the mindset shift number one? I gotta be careful saying that. Mindset shift number one is, I call it the B's. And in scripture, there's the beatitude. These are the B attitudes for getting past 6 figures. It's, first of all, be malleable. Be like, what got me here doesn't get me to the next level. So we put all this energy and effort into building this, what we consider our baby of a business. And then we, in order to get it consistently to 6 figures, we actually have to pivot a little bit. And it's hard for us. It's hard because we spent so much energy, so much effort, so much time getting the lift off. But the liftoff isn't the actual flying, right? The flying happens by being malleable. It's by allowing the neutrality of what works now, not what works then. So it's be malleable. Another one of the B altitudes is to be unoffendable. See, the mindset here is we shift over to helping the people that want it and loving and releasing the ones that don't. And you've heard this said, I wasn't the originator of it, but hurt people hurt people. There are a lot of people that, and this is such a positive piece that I really want to land for you in terms of a mindset shift, is the only people that are trying to offend you, that are trying to criticize you, that are trying to say that you're not doing enough, are not the people ahead of you. They're the people behind you. The people ahead of you are cheering you on. The people ahead of you will never be offended at your effort, at your growth. It's only the people that are not where you are yet. So be unoffendable. Be unoffendable. So be unmovable, be unoffendable, and then be unattached. We get so attached in the early phase of our business that the sales are coming in validates our worthiness to build a business. And we've got to be careful, because if we don't make this one shift of being unattached, we can quickly literally kill our business. Because if our who we are is attached with what we do, our who and our do gets intertwined, then we're having to become an up-leveled version of ourselves to get to that next level. And that puts you at a conflict in your brain. It literally puts you in a tug of war in your brain. And so when we are unmovable from the vision, unoffended by people who don't get it, and unattached to the way that you get there, unattached to the results even. And I'm going to talk about that in number 2. Like, okay, if you're unattached to the results, how you do that. So we'll talk about that. But these B altitudes are really, really an important mindset shift, because, and I always say it's a brain set shift, because these patterns of being offended, being tied to that work hard mentality, and being super attached, literally are like tethers to getting past 6 figures in your coaching business. So building those new pathways in your brain to be unmovable, unoffendable, unattached are vital bridges that you need to build. They're not gonna just happen. You actually have to build them. I was just doing a YouTube video, and I was talking about how in your brain, that vision part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, and the part of your brain that is the action center of your brain, they don't naturally connect. You actually have to build those bridges of connection. So you can't fake it till you make it. You've got to actually be intentional. Maybe should I add a 4th B altitude, right? Be intentional about changing and up leveling. I want to say changing. It's just an up leveling. You've actually had enough of a good mindset to get you to where you are right now. It's just that what got you here won't get you there. And you have no vision other than being in a room with people who have done it, of how do you think at that next level. So it's like a magnet that pulls you past that 6-figure ceiling. So those are the B altitudes to get you up to where you want to go. Okay. Number 2, the second mindset exchange that needs to happen from being focused on money and income coming in to your focus being on the results that you're getting for people, the results and the impact, not the money. This shift really happened to me when I brain primed. There's something in our world called a vision brain prime that builds that bridge between the vision and the action. I brain primed in the truth of the law of sowing and reaping. So the law of sowing and reaping, it's in scripture, and it's a universal principle that the more you sow, the more you plant, the more you put into the ground, the more that you will receive back. And so I had to get in, not in like, that's a good Instagram kind of belief, not in a, I think that is a truth. I had to build in my neural pathways a 100% belief in that law of sowing and reaping. And as I built that, and that's something we do in our immersive 67-day year experience for those that want to get to consistently 6 figures and above. But here's the thing, we've got to dial in the focus. What I am intending on, what I am thinking about is, how do I get my clients bigger results, better results, more impact? How do I reach more people? Because the more I sow those seeds, there is the law takes over and I will receive. So I trust the receiving will come back, and I do not focus on it. The number one thing you do tend to focus on in the very beginning of growing your business is I do this action and money comes in. I do this action and the money comes in. The focus tends to be on the money, and it will get you to a revenue place, but it will not let you move past that revenue block. That's where the glass ceiling happens for a lot of people. So in addition to the beatitudes that I talked about, that number 2 is focus on results, not the money. It's that law of sowing and reaping in action, but it's building that as an automated belief so that it will fire before every decision, action, results. So therefore, the more results I want to help somebody get, the more actions I will take toward getting results and impact versus focusing on the money. All right. That leads me to, very attached to number 2 is number 3, releasing revenue. We grow exponentially so much faster when we focus on the controllables and not on the uncontrollables. I cannot alter what's happening in the White House here in the United States. I cannot change the weather. I cannot make someone buy anything that we offer. Those are uncontrollables. So if we're holding on to revenue as a benchmark for results, it is a measure. We have to measure that. If revenue is not getting consistently to 6 figures and then on a path to 7 figures, you might not have a revenue problem. You probably will have a problem not focusing on either getting people in, getting people moving through, getting to know you better, getting to see that your vehicle is the vehicle they need, and then buying. So it's a mechanics issue, not a revenue issue. There's usually a breakdown in the business somewhere in there. But if we think it's revenue and we still have that old, broken, not 6-figure mindset and above, then we're going to focus so much on more instead of more quality, deeper, deliver, so more so that it will come back into you. We focus from revenue to systems and team. So when we think about that, in the beginning, it was you and maybe a VA, and it was like, let's go. And we were like super nimble, but now we're at a place where we have 2 or 3 team members. And the shift becomes, how do I lead these team members to lead revenue? They need to lead revenue. You get to lead them. So then it's, when you start to look at these 3 put together, it's like a piece of a puzzle. You start to realize, thank you, Taylor Swift. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. So it's not because you don't have what it takes. It's just that you've graduated. And a lot of almost 6-figure entrepreneurs don't graduate, and then they stay in that churn of not being consistent with revenue. And so it's a whole new game when you get consistent 6 figures and then the only 20% effort that it takes to get to 7. And it's becoming the best leader of yourself and the others around you. So there's no more important emphasis than right now getting that edge, really saying to yourself, I know how to make money. I know how to make revenue. Now I need to up-level my leadership, get that edge, up-level to that next 6-figure, 7-figure mindset. The fastest way to get to consistent 6 figures is to think like you're a 7-figure entrepreneur, a 7-figure coach. Those 3 mindset shifts that I talked about today, the beatitudes, focusing on results, and releasing revenue, are 3 that if you decided today to do what it took to up-level those 3, the game would change for you in 67 days. That's why we call the programs that we do the 67-day year, because this is a brain-based process of up-leveling your mindset. It's not willpower. It's not try harder. It's not, I'm manifesting. Manifesting is a brain-based process, and you've got to be able to have the connection between the vision and the thing you want and that part of your brain that will take the right action with the right mindset to start to get built. And so that is what I wanted to share with you today. I am curious I really want to know, as I'm kind of like exposing some of the things that I wish I hadn't thought. And I'm sharing with you the thing that's going to get you to that consistent 6 figures as a coach and then on to 7. If this has been valuable, here's what I would love for you to do. I would love for you to write a review and just tell me. I look at every single one. We feature them on the podcast. So whatever podcast process you're listening, whether it's Spotify or Apple or however you're listening to this, please go ahead and give a 5-star review and tell me what you think. If you'd like me to do more of these spill the tea type episodes where I'm showing you where I was and what had to shift and how I shifted it. And maybe we can take the timeline that it took me and then for you, shorten it to far, far less time to you getting to consistent, shattering that 6-figure ceiling and moving on to the 7-figure coaching business, which creates massive impact in the world. And the reality is the world needs what you have to offer. And so I'm willing to get a little bit embarrassed out there and talk about some of these things so that you can start to see the pathway to the next place. It's not what you've been doing. It's doing something differently. Now, somewhere around this podcast, there is a link for either a training or an opportunity to get on a call and really learn how you can shortcut this process through an immersive experience that are only for those wanting to get to 6 and 7 figures. If that is for you, you can find that link down below, because what got you here will not get you there. And it is time to invest in the lever that changes the game for you. All right. That's what I have for you on this week's Epic Success podcast. Till next week. And for now.